All right, I think.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
We are live. Ladies, how are we doing today?
Fantastic.
Great.
We are doing this at 10:30, which is like brunch time where I am, but this is different time. This is more breakfasty times for you. That's right, right?
Mm-hmm. It's like post
I'm at a good brunch.
mid-school drop-off breakfast time.
Yeah. All right.
Like
So the idea today is it's always really far away until it isn't. And I'm talking about CSM. It creeps up on you. And then what am I supposed to go to again? Are there sessions, and when are they? And there's pre-cons. That's the con before the con. And so first I want a personality profile. We'll go Rebecca, then Elise. Do you pick out your stuff well beforehand, the day before, on the flight, or the morning of? Or do you just do what I do sometimes, which is like, time's the next session. What do we got here? Use the APTA app. So what's your profile?
It's evolved. I think the first time I went, I was probably, I'd get the like printed out catalog and highlight everything and rank order choice them. So if I went into one and I was like not feeling it, I had a backup plan and a backup plan to the backup plan. And I went to every single session. Now I'm more of a like, I don't know, we'll see when I get there. There are a few things that I pick out that are like, cannot miss sessions. But I also, this might be a little strange, I kind of watch the social media traffic too while I'm at CSM. So I actually started getting on Twitter at CSM because they were showing tweets on the screens in the lobbies.
Yeah.
And people would be tweeting from sessions. And I was like, wait, what? I need to go hear what's happening in that room.
Live tweeting.
So I kind of have a mixed bag, but I'm way more chill about my planning methods than in the past.
Elise, what is your avatar for selecting CSM sessions? It's a lot of time and energy and money wrapped up in it. How do you pick?
Well, I'm pretty biased because I also like pre-vet the sessions that I'm interested in by having them on my own podcast. And that kind of helps me like sift through because I wish I could go to every single session. That's not realistic. So what I do is I will go through and I will pick out the sessions that are interesting to me. And I've learned to branch out of oncology. And then I will do the day before, usually like as I'm at the airport or as I'm at the hotel, I'll go through and have like one or two for every session, kind of like Rebecca, where if I go to one and it's a dud, I've got a backup. Or if I go to one and it's full, I've got a backup and I've got them queued up in the app.
I do a mix. I ask people what they're doing, what they're excited for, and then I sort of map it out. And then I also wing it too, where, listen, as a presenter, as someone who presents pretty regularly, if you're in the room and it ain't for you, I'm not offended if you leave. I'm just not. You are spending, and I'm pausing after I use the word spending time and paying attention. And you can only really be in one session at a time. So go to the one, if you are in the wrong room, if you're just like, this isn't what it matched the description, which also tells people write better descriptions to get better butts in seats. So the goal is just some insights from us, what we're looking at to plan out our own CSMs. And some of us are speaking, right? We're speaking at CSM.
All of us are this
So
year.
if you're not mentioning that, if you're not pre-promoting to get butts in your seats, why are you going to CSM to talk? Like, what are you doing here? What are you doing? I've been talking about my talk, very meta, for a couple weeks now. Like, be excited about it. Talk about it. If you think you're giving away too much, spoiler alert, you're not. You're not. You're not giving away too much. I can't see who this person is just because of the interface we're using. Go to sessions that are not being recorded by APTA. You can watch those later. That is a great idea. That is a terribly efficient strategy. So let's go Rebecca, Elise, Jimmy.
Perfect.
Rebecca, what is a session you're like, this is one I'm going to, I think you can't miss, and then like, why?
Okay, so I picked out like kind of one for each day, but I'm going to choose one of them that I thought was super applicable to what I do in the emergency department.
Okay.
And it's on Friday at 8 a.m. and it's the Home Health Academy. And it's called Invisible: How to Identify and Support Overwhelmed Caregivers for Improved Patient Outcomes and Rehospitalization Rates. I see so many patients that come in with their caregivers who are burned out, they're exhausted. Sometimes they literally drop their family member off at the hospital and peace out. So I'm really interested to see what I can learn from this, how I can help screen for that so that I help decrease bounce back and make sure that I'm making an effective discharge plan for these patients.
I do think it's ironic, or I did think it was ironic the first time I went to CSM because it was combined sections meeting. And I was like, we all come together. It's combined. This is great, like Voltron. And then we split up into sections and academies. But what Rebecca is suggesting is go to something that is outside of your silo, outside of your, because you need to pull likely 364 days a year, you're focused on PT and the ED or oncology.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe touch a little bit, spend a little bit of time doing something else. Do you want to give a nod to who the presenters are? Let's.
Yeah, let me see. So the primary or the only speaker is Julie Crenshaw, and she is a board certified in geriatric physical therapy, and she actually is an author of a book series called "Learn to Care for Aging Parents," which I think probably all of us could relate to that a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's going to be my
Julie,
out of my wheelhouse, but in my wheelhouse.
Call me. Let's have a drink, Julie. I will also say this. This is a blanket thing. If you get something from a presenter, write them an email.
Yes.
As a human to human, it means a lot. It also tells people, hey, this was good. Maybe you want to make more of that stuff. Do that again. So as a human to human, because you're a couple clicks away, man, we have never been more flat in terms of connected. Write the presenter an email. If you enjoyed it, say thank you. I enjoyed it. Doesn't have to be 20 pages. What'd you enjoy? And then maybe hey, would have loved if you did this. As a presenter or someone who creates stuff, I love that stuff. So write Julie, write Rebecca, write her an email.
I will.
Elise, what is your first? Wait, when is that one again? Make sure people know when that is.
That one is on Friday at 8 a.m.
It's a hot time. People come in hot. Get to the Starbucks line the night before. Maybe camp. Don't save money on a hotel room and just bring a sleeping bag and lay in line for the Starbucks line. Elise, what's your first pick?
So I'm really looking forward to the peripartum cardiovascular health disparities and how physical therapists play a vital role across settings. So that session is taking place also on Friday, 3 p.m. And the speakers are Rebecca Seagraves, Jenna Seagraves, Allison Satowski Hemstreet, and Catherine Sylvester and Nika Hall. So there's a lot in there, but what I super, super love about this and what I've come to realize in my own practice after years of going to CSM and only doing oncology program is that even though oncology is pretty comprehensive, there's a lot that I was missing. And what I have really realized personally in my own practice is the majority of women that I see, the majority of patients I see are women after a breast cancer diagnosis. And I would say 95% of them have also birthed a child or been pregnant at some point. And I genuinely had no inkling of understanding of how much cardiovascularly they are being impacted. But what I did know is that chemo is cardiotoxic. And I never put it together that we have a double whammy of cardiotoxicities that are absolutely affecting my patients, not just here and now, but also 10, 20 years down the road. And that is actually a bigger impact on mortality in long-term survivalship than sometimes the cancer itself. So big deal for me.
So you're thinking 1, 2, 10, 20 steps ahead and saying, okay, great. So I am comfortable in this area, but what can I get from the smorgasbord? This isn't all you can eat buffet, but not all you can eat because time is not it's finite. It's not infinite. We actually say infinite, but it's finite. Isn't that funny? It's like we say Arkansas and Kansas, but not
Kansas.
But so your time is finite,
It's
not infinite. I'm not sure why we say that. And who did you say the author? I had to take my headphones out for a second. Did you say who the author is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll shout them out again. So it's Rebecca Seagraves, Jenna Seagraves, Allison Satowski Hemstreet, Catherine Sylvester, and Nika Hall.
Okay. Sorry.
That's a dream team.
I mean, for real. For real.
Do you do that sometimes when you scroll through APTA programming? Are you looking for names you recognize, topics? Do you search by day? How do you do it? I do a lot. I just sort of shock.
Okay, to be honest, if Dr. Elisa Van Hoos is speaking, I go to everything that she's presenting.
The same.
So I looked this morning.
Do you look for people? People are your guideposts.
Sometimes I do because they're people that leave me feeling inspired, motivated, and committed to our profession and challenge me to be better. So yeah, there are some people that I will go to whatever they present.
Do you do that too, Elise?
So I'm going to double up on Dr. Lisa Van Hoos because she always gives presentations that make me uncomfortable in the moment. And then I walk out and I'm like, whoa, that was really good. And I'm charged to go and do something else, right? But I would say, like, listen, she's probably the only one that I do that with, because I'm also a really big believer of there tends to be a little bit of like the same people tend to present every year. And so I like to look at who's new, who have I not talked about. So I'm more of a topic focused person. And then I'll look into, like, is Dr. Lisa Van who's presenting, etc.
Listen, man, it's what people do for concerts. Who's the headliner? Who are the bands? Who are the bands I kind of know but want to know more about? Like, I'm gonna see this band before everybody knew it was cool. This is also a nod for why we practice our presentation skills. Why is Lisa Van Hoos a really, really good speaker? I'm not going to speak for her, but I'm going to guess it's repetition. Like, she cared. And then she was like, the first time I spoke, I wasn't that great, but I wanted to be. And then the second time I was a little less. And then all of a sudden, Lisa Van Hoos is who you see. She also does it a lot, which is why people know her. So as Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters would say, like, you want to be a great band, like, just go play, just get in front of people, right? Don't sit in your house and just release stuff online. Also, well, now you can release stuff online from your house,
right?
But neither rinse, repeat. So I'm going to go with a couple sessions. One is, this one was canceled.
Dang it.
Oh.
This is a pre-con, and I am going to make a pitch right now to Justin and Donna Lee and Jonathan. I actually already emailed Donna Lee Fraunfelter. This was something that I tried to get on the show a couple years ago, and I'm dumbfounded. This was, well, it's canceled because not enough people said they would come. That's just something, sometimes it happens for this pre-con. And this was medical improv for physical therapists and PTAs, level 1. So I think communication, just talked about speaking, is the, if you want to be a better speaker, you don't need more listeners. You need to speak more. If you want to be a better communicator, you have to do it. And you have to also piggyback on, you have to do something that's uncomfortable in the moment. Listen, I am a pretty comfortable speaker. I like doing things that are off the cuff. Improv still makes me uncomfortable. It's not making you uncomfortable. It's not hard enough, but that's like the good part, right? So a little disappointed that one wasn't done, but hey, Justin, Lisa, we could do a live stream and we could reach more people than you could actually reach in an entire day. It's going to be in a different way, podcast live stream, but we could reach more people. So that was one that I was like, oh man, that one, that one isn't being shared. So now I'll go to one that is. So let me share this one. So this one is called, I brought notes, Developing Therapeutic Alliance in Digital Health When Physical Therapists Become Consultants. And this is like, ooh, I feel like a lot of people are going to look at this and be like, you called me a consultant? That's like a sales word, and I don't like it, and I don't like it. So the description reads, current literature suggests telehealth can be an effective model in managing musculoskeletal conditions. And again, in 2020 in Denver, we were like, that's probably like 20 years from now. And then we were like, I feel like it's now. And despite the recent establishment of clinical competencies in PT telehealth practice, educational programming on applying best practices in digital health, it's lacking within the profession. Like, how do you do it? How do you do it right? So Heather Lauren Broach, Chris Martin, and Mary Reichel Kimbrough are going to be presenting Developing Therapeutic Alliance in Digital Health When PTs Become Consultants. That's on February at 8 a.m. as well. I'm looking forward to that because this is a thing. We jumped into it. I don't know if the cart was before the horse, but the container was before the instruction manual was written. But sometimes that's where innovation lives, right? Necessity is the mother of invention. So I want to see what is the best literature, right? I consider myself a pretty good communicator. Can I be better? Yeah, we all can. So that is my first question.
Nice.
I'm always for any topic on therapeutic alliance too. And if you can, I feel like if you could develop therapeutic alliance really well digitally, hopefully that would also translate to in-person work as well.
Yeah. Yes, they are similar, but not the same, right?
Correct.
Like, and I was talking about this with someone, I can't remember if it was on an episode or not. It's when you record a lot of podcasts, when you have no idea, is that they're similar, but not the same, and they require skill sets. Like there's a thing called like Zoom fatigue. Like I'm just used to doing, thing. And how can you maximize the connection to get the results you're actually looking for? And there are best practices for that. So that was pretty cool to see PTs sort of embracing that. Rebecca, you're up with your next pick.
Okay. I cannot wait to hear what you guys think about this. This one is on Thursday, February 15th at 8 a.m.
Okay.
And it's a vibe, a revolution of the PT experience.
What does that mean? It's a vibe.
Okay.
That's a term the
I'm
kids
going
are
to read you a little bit from the description. And then you can tell me what you think. The first thing is, when was the last time you walked into a healthcare facility and went, dang, this place has a vibe? Most likely never. And it's, it goes on to say, we are missing the wow. This session will explore the ideology and culture of providing high quality PT interventions in what traditionalists may call an unorthodox setting. From the high performance team culture to the banging music to the ping pong table and slack line with a cheers leg vibe. Disruptive practices have proven successful in a David versus Goliath industry. Being different is cool, diversifying services is valued, and focusing on experience is treasured. Learn how to create a vibe. I mean, the ED is its own vibe, so I don't know if I'm going to be like ping ponging, but I kind of want to go to this because I want to know. I mean, it's a vibe.
Elise.
I first of all, I love the title already. Yes. The description has captivated me. Yes. That was not on my radar. It's on my radar now. I do feel like as a patient, because I have employed a physical therapist for my own problems, I do feel like the majority of clinics I walk into are stuck in 1995. And that's not a bad year. Listen, the 90s were a great year. They were great for the 90s. And it does, I do feel like maybe that has in part hampered some of our progress because we have an aesthetic issue that, it does kind of bleed into sometimes how we do things in PT. So I'm here for it. Let's go, Rebecca.
Yeah.
I know.
I think that we are social animals and we like to say we're different and unique, and then we wind up doing similar things. Watch how people present. They watch people present and then they present the same way or similar way, but they sit in the audience and they want different. So this to me is a parallel, which is I want different. We don't really sell a product. We sell a service, and that service has vibe. And when I walk into A clinic or B clinic, there are differences. It should tell you. This is like feng shui, right? How do you create a vibe? And that should be intentional. I want people to feel emotion. Mm-hmm. How are you? Mm-hmm. Show me how you're doing that. Well, we're all chill, and on our website and I'm like, no, that's not repeatable. There's no plan there. It sounds like this presentation is going to be hey, if you want to project this, you should pay attention to A, B, and C. That's cool. I don't think I've heard of this type of presentation before, which is cool and exciting.
Yeah, and it's private practice section, which is interesting. And the other thing I think that maybe the goal here too is to not only bring a vibe into your community, but bring community into your vibe. So if you can make people feel like they belong, it's not clinical. When I go to my doctor's office, they're very polite. I don't feel like I belong there. I see them maybe twice a year.
Sterile.
When I go into my PT clinic, I feel like people know me. I'm comfortable there. I love the environment that they have there. It's a vibe. Yeah. So I really kind of love the idea of this, especially if you're creating your own business.
Do you guys have an Applebee's near you?
It closed.
Really? I feel like they never closed. But when you walk into an Applebee's, because Rebecca, you're in Colorado, at least you're in Texas.
Correct.
And I'm in New York. But I'm going to take a wild stab in the dark. When you walk into an Applebee's in Texas, there are local high school football helmets and field hockey jerseys and things on the wall.
Yeah.
It's very intentional. They are being very obvious. They are saying, we're just your local restaurant that, by the way, you recognize the name when you're driving across the country or going from town to town. It's very intentional. It's very obvious. So those are the things, which is if you want to bring, what was that again? You said you want to bring your community.
So they say you're bringing a vibe to your community, but I'm saying you're also going to bring community into your vibe to make people feel like they belong there.
Isn't that the thing? What are you projecting? Do you have a bunch of cubicle type office furniture from, again, 1995? Nothing wrong with 1995, but I'm not going to start wearing clothes from 95 again.
I mean, I am.
Not for 20 more years. That's when they come back in style.
That's now, Jimmy.
Is it now?
That's 30 years ago.
I'm not good with math.
I'm wearing platform boots. I'm not going to lie. I'm actively wearing platform boots.
All right. Rebecca, bring your microphone a little closer to you.
Okay. Sorry.
No, it's okay. We want to hear your voice. Is it on an arm? Can you move it? Now you've muted everything.
Oh no.
So in an effort to get Rebecca to be heard more, you might have to plug it back in or play around with it. Well, anyway, it's Elise's turn every way. Rebecca, play with your audio. Elise, what do you have for your second pick for CSM?
Yeah, so my second pick is in the oncology section. Oh, I hear an
just turn your volume down, Rebecca. This is live streaming. Go ahead, Elise.
So the next one that I have is in the oncology section, and it's called Navigating the Complex Situations and Conversations. And that is happening on Saturday at 8 a.m. And that is with Lori Bowright and Chris Wilson, who are kind of giants in the oncology field. Okay. And what I really like about this, and this is something that actually Rebecca touched on previously, and I want to bring back. As a new clinician, I would pick out the sessions to try and get the most information possible on what to know. What are the cancer treatments being used? What are the side effects? What are the specific prescriptions for exercise we should be dosing, et cetera, et cetera. And I like what we were talking about previously, which is kind of, the therapeutic alliance. And this is kind of along those lines of how can I show up as a better human? As a therapist for my patient in a very, very challenging and vulnerable environment that is oncology, but I mean also other areas. And so I'm really, really excited about that one. There's going to be some practical application too, like practicing. And I have to say, I'm going to bring it back to a CSM several years ago. I went to an oncology talk on sex. I don't remember the exact, it was like gynecological something, but they made us in this other talk. They made us turn to our neighbor and ask and tell honestly and vulnerably, how is your sex life?
Really?
And that was uncomfortable. Again, I have learned to lean into the uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable. It was vulnerable. But the person that I shared that conversation with was like, wow, I get it now. On sometimes when we're asking questions as the therapist and our patients maybe are struggling to come up with an answer or uncomfortable answering that or just don't answer it in general. Man, that was such a catalyst for me. And I think this session, again, navigating the complex situations and tough conversations is going to be another one of those where I walk out and I'm like, oh, that was a good one. I can't wait to implement this.
Becca, what do you think? How does that sound? I think it sounds good and great. Becca's.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay. Well, I like to think that complex conversations are really pretty simple once you kind of get over yourself a little bit. It's just like when you started in PT school, do you remember the first time you had to touch somebody?
Yep. It was awkward.
And you were like, or the first time you had to be in your sports bra, standing there in front of everybody. I think once you kind of rip the Band-Aid off, it works pretty well. And I help in a PT school lab where we simulate really uncomfortable conversations with students. Yep. And it's hard, but I think it's important. And then it doesn't feel so hard anymore.
If you keep the conversation underneath the bed, using that analogy, but if the big scary monster hiding under the bed or in the closet stays there, it gains power. Yep. It gains scariness. And when you can get over yourself, I think don't get over it, get over yourself is the thing, because you can actually control that one. And did you say who the authors were? Yeah, you did.
Yes. So it's Lori Bowright and Chris Wilson.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And we're going to share the links to all these. Can you just send me the links to all these sessions? I'll put them in the description. This way people can just make it clickable.
Absolutely.
All right. So is it my turn now?
Yep.
So I'm bringing an extra one if you count, bringing 4. So I'm going to give a nod to a poster. What?
Love it.
A poster? No one loves posters. I do. I actually ironically think that when APTA shares information on posters, why not put the image of the poster on the website? But whatever.
Agreed. We're actually doing that in Colorado. We're sharing posters with our members. Yeah, online.
So this poster is, I'll give a nod to the presenters. This is Justin Mierzwicki, Joshua Klein, Brooke Satch, and Lauren Vandenberg. And the title is Loneliness Improved by Either Telephone or Video Communications in Community-Dwelling Older Adults. Essentially, 36% of community-dwelling older adults experience moderate loneliness, and 6.6% experience severe loneliness. I would actually think it's more than that. That's underreported. That's my guess.
Yeah.
And essentially, it's like loneliness and social frailty increases the risk of depression and cognitive impairment and mortality. How do we fix this? Well, we have phones and we got these things that FaceTime and video communicate. How do we play a part in this? And their conclusion, I'll give it away because I don't think you can give too much information away. I think you have to give more. While close physical contact is typical of conventional physical therapy, healthcare professionals have the potential, I'm talking to you, have the potential to improve loneliness using remote interventions. These things that you're holding, that's never more than 1.5 feet away from you. The study that they looked at suggested that remote interventions can facilitate improvement in loneliness independent of the type of modality utilized, which minimizes cognitive impairment, mortality, and frailty, and increased risk of depression. So reach out and touch someone. Was that AT&T back in the day? That was their slogan. Reach out and touch someone. Remember when like long distance calls used to cost more? Like it would be like, who are you calling? A local call costs nothing or maybe a little bit, and then a long distance call. And now it's like you can call Japan and like, whatever, it's the same thing. But how do you do that as a clinician to improve those things? How do you use this tool? This is a tool. How can you use it? So I gave a nod to a poster. And should I do my other session now as well? And then we have to pimp our own. You have to push your own. All right, so the last one I had, obviously I've been talking about it a lot, and I've been getting a lot of DMs from people, which is kind of cool because I've done a couple episodes on this. This one is Thursday, February 15th, 11 to 1, the lunchtime session. And the title, very Dr. Seussical, AI, oh my, how ChatGPT can rehab your workflow and research outcomes. So it's a 2-hour session. They're using the word, and so here's the best part. If you look at the description, in this thought-provoking 2-hour session, we'll delve into the transformative potential of artificial intelligence, particularly the cutting-edge large language model ChatGPT and its implications for the world of rehabilitation, research, and workflows. I am going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to go all in and say this description was written by AI because no human uses the word delve ever, but AI loves it. I actually now use prompts when I use AI, and I say do not use. I have a do not use word, and delve is number one because delve is the giveaway. But I also like the fact that they used AI to write the description because it's super meta. So this is fantastic. Gabriel, Elaine, James Patrick Crick, Catherine Celeste Quatman Yates, and Tim Rethorn. I know Tim. How do you use this new tool that fell in everybody's lap to do the things? You don't have to be an expert on it. I am not an expert on it, but I'm like a kitten batting around a ball of yarn going, I don't know, I'm trying to figure this thing out. And eventually people will, and you don't need to be number 1 or even number 100 of the best people in the world to use a tool, but you know how to use a tool. You can refinish your house. You can turn a 1970s raised ranch into something that looks a little more modern. You can do that with your practice. So I like the fact that we are now discussing this thing that's sort of been ping-ponging around the world for a couple months. You're both.
And could that help with the vibes that Rebecca was talking about in that session?
Dear ChatGPT, how do I increase #vibes? How do I get better vibes? Good vibes only.
I'm really interested to know what it would say.
What GPT would say?
Yeah. How do I increase the vibes?
How do I increase the vibes of my PT clinic?
Do you want increase or improve?
I don't know. I wrote increase, but I can ask it again. It's thinking. It does it very quickly.
I like it.
So it says, enhancing the vibes of atmosphere of your PT clinic can significantly improve patient experience and satisfaction. Here are several strategies. At no point has it said delve yet. Welcoming, I'll just give you the high notes. Welcoming and comfortable environment, personal touches, engaging and empathetic staff, and patient-centered care. I mean, none of these things are revolutionary, but when use of technology as well.
No
Digital
ping pong tables?
Relaxing atmosphere. What'd you say? Tables?
Ping pong tables.
Ping pong table. Everybody, I remember every tech startup had a foosball table. It was like, come work here. Why? We'll pay you a little bit. We'll give you stock options and a ping pong table. Everybody plays ping pong for like once, and then they're like, I'm good. So that I like how that's focused on the vibes. So anyway, that's AI. That's one of them that I'm going to. Do you guys have any more, or is it time to talk about ourselves now? We've waited long enough to bring ego into this.
I mean, I have one more though.
Oh.
It's called Building a Moral Practitioner Community, Strategies to Strengthen the Profession.
So what does that mean?
Well, I don't know. This is a description that I feel like is not super clear. It says we need more than clinical skills to navigate complex ethical situations. It says envisioning PTs as a moral community could be a robust structure for addressing social, economic, and political forces. So it's interesting. They're going to kind of do it as like a fireside interview with a panel of different leaders from the APTA Ethics and Judicial Committee.
Who are the people? Who are the panelists?
The primary speaker is Dr. Gail Jensen. Then we have Ruth Pertillo, Rebecca Ditweiler, Aaliyah Chaudhry, Robert Tillman, Roger Herr, Laura Lee Swisher, Deborah Gorman Bader, Chaley Engelhard, Kimberly Varnado, and Rhea Cohn. So lots of good speakers there. I'm really interested on this specific like piece of strategies to strengthen the profession. It doesn't really say how they would do that, but I'm interested in that, especially as we have drama every year around the House of Delegates and whether moral issues are the role of the House of Delegates, whether the APTA should be involved in moral considerations. And I think healthcare is a moral consideration. So I'm interested in this. I'm curious.
I hope it goes well. And here's why. As someone who interviews people for 2 professions worth of livings, fireside chats and panels are difficult.
Yes.
This is like trying to get a bunch of people to dance, not say the same things, because you definitely don't want that. You don't want, pretty much what Elise said, and then I'll add pretty much the same thing again. That can get redundant and boring.
Yep.
Or somebody hogs the mic. There's just a lot of things that can go sideways. Because how many people did you say were on that panel?
A lot. Many.
Yeah. So that, I mean, I'll even tell people like, because look at the setup of this show. Me plus Elise plus Rebecca. I'd say we might be able to get one more, but also you 2 each individually host your own podcasts regularly, so you're sort of savvy. And so I get nervous when I see things like this. It looks like by adding more people, you're adding more insight, but my thing is you're actually dividing the amount of insight you can get from each person. So you got Roger Herr on there, so like you're going to get cool APTA insights and what they're actually doing. I would be curious. I'm not downplaying it. I'm saying there's a potential for danger, which also could make it
curious. Yeah. And it's 11 people.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of people. I mean, 3's company, 4's a crowd, or 3's company?
3's company.
Yeah. Which John Ritter, rest in peace. That was a funny dude. He was Jim Carrey before Jim Carrey was Jim Carrey. Yep. John Ritter was nuts, man. He was off the wall. So 3's company, and that's what we're doing right now. And I do this with Dave Kittle and Tony Maritato too. 3 is good.
3's good. Yeah.
4 gets hard. 5 is, and I've cautioned people. I've moderated panels, and I'm telling you, I'm a point guard now, trying to pass the ball. There's 5 people. That's
11.
not easy. That's not easy.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how it goes.
All right, Elise, talk about you. It's not egotistical because I told you to talk about you.
So I am partnering with Andrea Branas and Amber Chavez to present at 8 a.m. first session right off the bat, y'all, on Thursday. Yeah. So get excited because I'm a morning person and I love presenting in the morning. And if you want some excitement, you're going to want to come to this. So our session is called Pediatric Lymphedema, Improving Lymphedema to Improve Mobility. And so what I really want people to take away from this is that this is not a exclusively pediatric session. This is not an exclusively oncology lymphedema session. This is really a combination of the best of both worlds. And what surprises me perhaps most of all is that I never intended to get into this area. But as I've continued practicing over the last almost 6 years, it has become wild and wildly apparent on how much this is a problem. And I like what Jimmy said earlier, which is, sometimes there's not always, a clear solution from the problem. Sometimes the problem just happens and then you have to find a solution. And in this case, we've made the solution for a problem that is becoming very, very prominent and prevalent, much more so than we thought.
I think that's always how real solutions happen. Like someone said smarter than me, and I always forget. I remember quotes, but I can't remember who said them. But the idea is like, modern school, not to knock it, but they give you the lesson, then the test. But in life, it's the test, then you learn the lesson. But we reverse it and wonder why kids can't have the lesson stick. because I get burned and realize the stove's hot. Don't touch that. But you can't yell, don't touch that. And then you get burned, you're confused. And that's the way it is, right? It's find a problem that everybody looks at it and says, not my problem, solve that problem. That's the definition of innovation that I stole from David Petrino. I remember who said that one. So good for you. We'll share that link. Good for you. What time do you wake up when you present at 8 o'clock in the morning? And remember, you're going from Texas to Boston too. So
I know I might have to like update you on my answer because the whole East Coast thing is a little throwing me off there. I would say probably like 5:30 because I want to give myself extra time to get there. I'm going to take the tea over from my hotel. So like I got to have time for that. I have to make my tea and drink my tea in the morning. So like lots of tea to plan for.
I would get up at 7:15. Would walk in the room and be like, where's the screen? That's just me. I come in hot. Rebecca, talk about you.
All right. I'm presenting 2 sessions this year at CSM. The first one is on Thursday at 11 a.m. Okay. So you can go see Elise and then you can come to our presentation next. I'm presenting with Dr. Mark Magdaleno and Dr. Jenna Seagraves. And the title is Keep It Simple, Management of the Complex Patient in the Emergency Department. It's complex to work in the emergency department. And when you have patients that are especially complex, it's very easy to get overwhelmed, especially when you have a finite amount of time. So this session will really give you a framework for how to approach that patient from start to finish, whether they're medically complex, socially complex, whether the environment is complex. So just give you a place to start, a roadmap to follow, and empower you to use your critical thinking skills to make it simple.
Say the title again. Keep it simple.
Management of the complex patient in the emergency department.
So close to being able to just have kiss and a lips emoji, like keep it simple. Keep it simple. I mean, I guess you can say stupid. We use the kiss. Keep it simple, stupid. I know. Keep it simple. I would have asked ChatGPT for something so it could use the kiss thing.
Maybe keep it simple. Super awesome. PT.
Yeah.
You are.
Keep it simple.
It could be hyphenated.
All right. What's your second one?
Okay. Because of 90s, it's called Spin Doctors.
Yeah, that was my first concert ever. Spin Doctors.
Oh, man. So we might have to have some of that music going, I think. Spin Doctors, best practice dizziness care in the emergency department.
Spin Doctors, I like it.
So I'm presenting with Dr. Helena Esmond and Dr. Katie Johnstone, who you might know as the Lego PT.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we've got vestibular first and the Lego PT and the ED PT coming together to make dizziness feel not so scary in the emergency department.
Elise, are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, I did get a little bit of a preview of the first session because I interviewed Rebecca and the Keep It Simple team, and it is gold, y'all. So cannot recommend. And I do love the Spin Doctor title. Like, nice.
I like to think that both of these presentations are applicable to you wherever you work, because if I can give you a framework to keep something simple in the emergency department, you can use that framework anywhere. And then dizziness. If we can make dizziness, differential diagnosis of dizziness, streamlined to the point where you could do it easily in the emergency department, if you're in oncology, or if you, Jimmy, haven't seen a patient with vertigo in a long time and you come to this session, podcast to vertigo treatment, 2 hours.
I like it. Also use your familiar skills in unfamiliar places.
Yes.
Learn new skills and then use them in unfamiliar or places they don't belong. Exactly. So I'm part of 2 sessions, but I'm not going to be able to be at both sessions. So one is because the Academy of American Physical Therapy is having their 50th anniversary, and I work with APTA Orthopedics. Wow. I'm throwing a party with them. I mean, I'm throwing a party. I get to go to a party. But an event that I've been part of since Denver was the first year is Technopalooza. And that's something that usually happens at night after sessions are done because it's like the anti-session session. So I did want to mention it. And that is Friday night, 8 to 10. And essentially, it's Antique Roadshow for technology and PT. It's like everybody stands around, they walk over, they go, here's my diagnostic ultrasound that plugs into your iPhone. Ooh, everybody's, ooh, how does it work? How much does it cost? Let me touch it. So it's hands-on playground for tech. And the Academy of Leadership and Innovation has been doing this for years. I got involved in Denver, which was a couple of years ago. Yep. And they do this every year. But I wanted to give a nod because at the same time, the APTA Orthopedics party is at the same time. And I cannot be in 2 places at the same time. So I did want to give a nod for both things. If you're in the Academy of Orthopedic PT, we're having a party. If you want to learn about technology, you got to pick one. The other one that I'm doing is a presentation, and I have presented several times at CSM. I have never submitted a presentation. I always get, hey, do you want to be on this? And I'm like, yeah, okay. So I am very much a Robin. As much as I like to take the lead on things like CSM still intimidate me. I'm like, I don't know. Would you ever want to learn this? So I ran into my co-presenter when we crossed paths as she was rotating off of the board of directors or the board of trustees for the Foundation for Physical Therapy Leadership. And I was rotating on the board of trustees at the Foundation for Physical Therapy Leadership. And again, I still have no idea why I'm on that board of trustees. If you look at people like Stanley Paris or like Marilyn Moffitt, Paul Rocker, I am one of these people is not like the other. But Sheila Schindler-Ivins and I were passing like ships in the night for the foundation. And she was like, sort of instrumental in the Marquette Challenge that the foundation does every year. Mm-hmm. And she was like, hey, Jimmy, I really want you to help bring communications to the board. I think that's what you're here for. And I'm like, it must be, because I haven't run a school or been the WCPT president or that's clearly why I'm here, is to show people to communicate. So Sheila then came to me and was like, hey, I've listened to what you've said, and you're right. If we really want people to understand research, publishing cannot be the only route. Publishing or a poster or presentations are traditionally the only 3 ways that science spreads. And I got news for you. Look at what we just talked about. All these sessions are happening at the same time. So time and space is a factor. But what if they're all recorded, Jimmy? That's cool too. But bandwidth is a factor. How do I choose? Because I only have so much bandwidth to spend time and pay attention with, which will be one of my slides. It is a transaction. I know your presentation is free, but it's not. So my goal is to highlight the problem. What's the problem, man? So the title of the presentation, it's on Thursday, 3 to 5. So while Elise is very much the breakfast club there, I'm going to be happy hour. I do not see any regulations that say you can't bring your own drink. There's nothing there. I'd rather ask for forgiveness than permission. So it is very much happy hour. And the title of the session is, it's in the Academy of Research, which again is laughable. Why would I ever be in the Academy of Research? It's baffling. But I'm using my familiar tools in unfamiliar places. And the title is Science Isn't Finished Until It's Understood: Effective Strategies for Communicating Rehab Research to the Public. And Sheila is a researcher. So she's like my audience. So everything I've done in the presentation and putting it together, I run by her and I go, am I right in this is how it works? Because again, I've never really done research. So I'm like, but I'm a lay person looking and going, isn't this the problem? Isn't this what you do? So I'm also going to, spoiler alert, because there are several things going on during CSM. Do you know what the other holidays are going on during CSM? One's an easy one.
It's Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day. The Sunday before CSM.
President's Day.
Right. There's also a large football game.
Super Bowl?
Yeah, Super Bowl. And a large party that usually happens in New Orleans. Mardi Gras.
That's Wednesday, that Wednesday.
Oh, man.
I am going to use elements of all those holidays in my presentation. Like I'm going to bring in my microphone set, my offensive lineman headphones that make me look like I'm an offensive coordinator on the sideline of a football team, right? And I'm going to do play-by-play for what I think research looks like. You receive the kick, which means you got the green light or funding to do a research. And then you do a bunch of science things, like you do a thing. And she was going to help me with the science things. I'm not just going to yell out science things. But I'm going to say, like, you do science things, like you run the ball, you pass the ball, because your goal is to get to the goal at the end. Spoiler alert, and I'll say it here because you can't say it. I don't want to hide it. I think researchers commonly think that getting published is the end zone. And I want to frame it. I think you're still on the 15-yard line. Like, you're close, but your goal when you started was to achieve understanding, which is why it's called Science Isn't Finished Until It's Understood. Not science is done once I'm published. And then I just go back to the 20-yard line, receive the next kick? No, you did a bunch of stuff. If it was any good, you want people to know about it. And for that, you need to get outside of posters, presentations, and papers. They're all P's. I'm going to do that. I'm going to make a Wizard of Oz reference. Posters and presentations and papers. Oh my. Posters, presentations, and papers. Oh my. There's a preview. I just came up with that. I'm going to use it. So that's my beef, is like, everybody says that 17 years from research to clinical practice. And everybody's like, we don't know why. I'm like, I very much know why, and I'm an idiot. Like, it's because you publish and you think you're done, and you spike the. You ever see like football players drop the ball on the 1 yard line when they start celebrating too early?
Yeah.
I'm like, you're doing the icky shuffle, 80s 90s reference. You're doing the icky wood shuffle on the 15. That's a fumble. You think you're done. So that's my thing. So I'm very passionate about that because Sheila and I have the foundation connection, which the foundation raises money, then gives money away for research. And here I come in going, I'm not going to help you with research. Stuart Binder McLeod and Stanley Paris, and Marilyn Moffat and Becky Craik, all these people. I'm like, I ain't going to help you with that. But I keep looking going, how are we trumpeting this? Where's the music video? Where's the rap video? Where's the TikTok? Make fun of these things all you want, but it's communication and brevity. So I don't know if you can tell, but I'm super pumped about this.
Well, and I really like in your title too, you didn't just finish with science isn't finished until it's communicated, understood, right? And I think that's a really important thing we've especially been made aware of the past few years of like, it's not good enough to publish it. It's not good enough to just communicate it. It has to be understood. And I'm really
my mantra used to be, and I stole this from somebody like the England's version of the Surgeon General. His quote was, science isn't finished until it's communicated. And I ran around, I put that on my email signature. I'm like, this is dope. And then I thought about it for a while. It was like, no, I don't want to have gone to the gym. I want to have done something that causes a change. That was the point when I set it out. So it's not the job isn't to have communicated. The job is to have communicated clearly so that you reach understanding. I also want to make it easier for people, which is your job is not to get people to do something or believe something. And this I can also bleed into politics, right? Kind of, which is what I'm saying is like, if we have a difference of opinion, that's cool. My only goal in this discussion, right? Not a monologue or a presentation. My discussion is, do you understand what I'm saying? You're like, yes, but I just don't agree with it. That's cool. I'm okay with that. As long as I have articulated myself clearly and concisely, sometimes with humor or analogies, whatever. The goal is understanding. If you understand me and still disagree with me, that's cool. But not achieving understanding is on me. I want to own that. And that's what I want to show researchers. I also want to give them not a pass, but like almost like, I get it. You're not incentivized to do anything after you're published, I think, right? There's no incentive. You don't get extra money. And like and I'm not saying researchers doing it for money, but like their living is earned off of going back to the 20-yard line and catching the ball again and scoring another touchdown.
Right.
But you're not scoring touchdowns. And I'm not here to rage against the publishing world and say, well, this sucks and open access. Like, I'm not going to change that. I don't know where the solution is or how the solution gets funded or how to I know I'm going to talk to 100 people and 2 are going to do what I say. I know that. I'm cool with 2. As long as the room understands me, it's not my job to get you to do it. Right? Which also goes back into patient care. I need you to understand me. You doing it or not doing it. It's like Inception. I put the idea in your head, but it's got to be your idea. If it's not, you're never going to do it. So that's what my presentation is.
Nice.
I feel like I'm really excited about that.
I'm excited about it because I feel like if the pandemic really taught us anything, it's that misinformation is free, widely available, highly disseminated. If I'm getting my science off TikTok, that's free. Peer-reviewed research is behind a paywall. Even most physical therapists are like, well, I want to read this, but I can't because I don't want to pay for it. I don't want to get behind a paywall. So my question for you, Jimmy, is do we need to have the researcher team and then have another team of people that actually communicates that? Because is it reasonable to expect the researchers to be able to communicate that?
And I address the limitations of this ask, which is you're limited in the 3 T's. I got a lot of P's and T's. Tools. Maybe you don't have an audience to talk to. Maybe you don't have a Canva account. Maybe you don't have so there are low or no costs, but they're like, if you want to reach a mass audience, like you do need to put some stuff into it. So there's the 3 T's: tools, training, time. Yeah. So if you don't know how to use the tool that you actually, everybody can have a YouTube account for free. Like, great, there's a tool, but I don't have a training how to use it. Also, I don't have any time because my job is be published and go back and catch another kick. So this is what I did at Mount Sinai is I was like embedded in a research lab and my job was like make the TikToks and make the Instagram carousels for the research that our team was doing. And I did that for 2 years. So no, because our researchers, like, do you want them to get good at offense and defense? It's like, is that a lot to ask? I think it is. Like, you want them really, really good at research and have a team. So Sheila points out some schools have these teams. And you're not going to get 100% of their time 100% of the year. But if you're like, hey, I'm publishing twice a year, meet with that person early and often. And then when the thing before it comes out, Tom Cruise is the most bankable, actor in Hollywood or whatever, but he still releases a movie trailer and he still walks the red carpet and he still does a bajillion interviews. Why? He understands. Like, he puts out great movies, but you got to tell people about them over and over. I even in my presentation, I'm giving away a lot. I'll use exercise principles. They're communications: frequency, intensity, time, type, volume, progression. That's the FIT VP, right? Those are all communication principles. So when you're not doing them, don't be upset by the results you're not getting from the work you're not doing. But I also come back and I go, maybe it might not be your job. So this might be, it's a little commiserating. Like, I'm not going to bag on you. I'm going to show you the way and then show you, like, I understand you're limited by this. You're being asked to play multiple positions that you are not given the tools, training, and time for. You're not given the 3 Ps, which is people, product, process. You're not instructed. Like, hey, communications is an entire degree in college. I got one. But where does that person come in on your team? I don't know really how research 100% works. Maybe someone listening now, or we'll find out in the room. Could you put that as part of your grant and not have to have a full-time communications person, but say, like, isn't the point of getting this out? Like, so I'm going to spend X number of the dollars from this grant to communicate it because you wanted it to not get published. You want understanding. Published ain't the end zone. So I'm guessing we'll have, like, I'm gonna have football sound effects and I'm gonna juice it up, man.
All I have are spin doctors.
I saw Spin Doctors, Soul Asylum. Do you remember Soul Asylum? They had a pretty innovative music video. So Soul Asylum had a song called Runaway Train, and it was about runaways. And they made like something like, and this is back in the 90s. This is really innovative. They made like 10 versions of the music video where in the chorus, they would flash images of runaway, kidnapped, exploited children who are missing. And then they would put a phone number of, if you find one of the, essentially they use their music video to find and reconnect runaway children with their parents. It's a very innovative idea in the 90s to, like, we're going to be on MTV every 20 minutes. Why don't we use this? And the song is about this. You don't see that a lot. The only other parallel that I saw in recent years was Imagine Dragons did a song where the music video featured a kid with cystic fibrosis. Essentially, it was like raising awareness, and it showed the kid playing hockey and then going for treatment and then trying to ride his bike and going for treatment. And it was a really nod. So it was like cool, like communication, social justice. So there's some parallels though. I also want to load up my presentation with just a ton of examples. I am not a theory guy. I mean, I'm like, okay, basics, outline. And then I want to show you ads of Nike. I want to show, like, wow, look at this. They communicated an idea very clearly. How can you do that? How can you steal this to do that? Because I want people to walk out feeling, it's always good, like vibes, right? I want the vibe to this to be like, oh, I can do this and I have permission. So my 4th P, usually it's people, product, process, and permission, or tools, training, time, and turf. It's like, yes, this actually, you are the only person that's going to do this. Yep. No one's going to do it better than you. No one's going to do it with more energy and more accuracy than you. You're mad because the communications person at your university misquoted you or didn't get, but you weren't involved in the process. Sorry, man. That's a fumble on you. So anyway, I feel like I hogged a lot of the time at the end there, but I got real pumped.
I'm excited for it.
Yep.
And I'm actually like halfway done putting it together. I usually put things together 2 weeks before, and then I run through it 3 or 4 times. I'm already practicing several parts. I'm very excited for this.
Very nice.
This might be a pump. All right, parting shots. Wait, what were we going to say? You not like that? All right, that's cool. Parting shots. How do you want to wrap up today's episode? This is a different format. This is the second time we've done it. I don't even know if we have a name for it, but the Brunch Bunch felt really good. How do you want to wrap up today's episode? What do you look at? Let's do this way. Parting shot will be, what are you looking forward to at CSM outside of just the programming that we all just mentioned as well?
Oh my gosh. I'm really excited to see people from all across the country that I've connected with virtually, that I haven't met in person. I'm excited to see friends that I have had for years. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm excited to like treating it in the brunch theme like a wine flight. I'm going to try a lot of new things and experience a lot of new things. I'm committed to going to an event I've never been to before.
Yeah.
even if I don't know anybody.
Love it. Elise,
That's so exciting.
What are you looking forward to?
Not to copy, but I didn't go to CSM last year, and I feel like I missed a lot. Like the FOMO was very strong for me. And so I'm really looking forward to actually getting to go in person and connect with a bunch of people that like, it's called the oncology mafia for a reason, because so many of those people are so cool and are like always cheerleading in the background for everything that I've ever done. And so it's always nice to get to connect with them. I am going to do a plug here. Dan Steventon, who you may know as the Kid
PT
Cancer
Dan.
PT, the Fred Rogers of PT Dan is receiving a humanitarian award from the oncology section that is supremely well deserved. And so I do want to make sure, because he was probably never going to tell that, I'm going to shout it from the rooftops.
Yeah.
Dan got it. Dan is totally deserving of it. And I can't think of a better person who exemplifies what it means to be a PT humanitarian than PT Dan.
I will now pledge to use video examples from PT Dan, because he utilizes video. We're talking about the same guy, right? Yeah. Utilizes videos in such a great way. And he's been doing it for a while now. He was sort of like doing it before it was cool. He was like literally teaching himself like how to make goofy, fun videos to get his pediatric patients like engaged, because he was like, they watch goofy videos, so I got to make goofy, fun videos. Let's talk to the patient in ways that they are already communicating. So I will use examples from PT Dan. Shoot, I had one and now I forgot. Oh, I think I mean, we didn't even talk about all the things that happen. We could do another episode on all the things that happen after the sessions, right? The diversity gala, the PT PAC event, all the sections and academies and alumni events have parties. You can invent your own. So it's kind of choose your own adventure. Last year we did PT Party with a Purpose. I forgot the name of my own party. Party with a Purpose. I didn't do it again this year because family stuff happened, and I was like, I'm not going to be able to plan this correctly.
Totally.
Maybe I'll do it. Where's CSM next year? Not to already skip ahead.
Houston.
Yeah.
So warmer. I mean, maybe we can make it. You know, San Diego, San Antonio had snow. Maybe we'll make maybe Boston will be 82 and balmy in February. Probably not. But looking forward to connecting with people. I mean, I got a group of people I hang out with every year, and I'm just pumped. That's all I got. Do you guys have anything else? We'll play the outro music. All right, they say the best conversations happen at happy hour. Thanks for coming to ours. We'll see you at CSM.